Hi, Shane here. You're watching Sam for God, and this is Mark. Check her out.
So hi guys, how you doing? Today I want to talk about a show that I saw, or maybe saw is not actually the right word for this. I want to talk about a show that I experienced about 3 weeks ago, and it's called The Drowned Man. The Drowned Man is a show produced by the theatre company Punchdrunk, and it's in collaboration with the National Theatre in London, although it's not actually located at the National Theatre. The show is located in a place called the Temple Studios, which is near Waterloo. And yeah, I just want to tell you about my experience at the show because it was such a unique experience, something that I've never done before and something I've never experienced before, and I just feel the need to tell you about it because it was just awesome. Right, so the reason I said that I experienced this show rather than actually saw it is because you literally experience it. You don't get to see the show. It's not like a typical theatre where you go and sit down in seats and watch a show on stage. Not at all. This is a full-on interactive theatre piece. It's amazing. It's so weird, but I feel the need to explain it to you because I want you to know what it's about because it's just so crazy, but it's so much fun. Yeah, anyway, so the Temple Studios at Waterloo is where the show is located, and it has 4 levels, like 4 levels of stuff. Basically, the 4 levels are where the show is set. So you haven't got just one stage where everything's on it. You've got 4 levels of different things and different sets and stuff, and that's where everything happens, the show happens basically. And because there's 4 levels, obviously you can't just sit and watch the show. You have to go and explore it yourself. You have to go to all these different levels and figure out the storyline yourself and see all these different scenes, and it's just so cool! I'm getting excited talking about it, but okay, I know it sounds a bit bizarre, but I'm going to try and explain it as best as I can. So the show is called The Drowned Man, and it does have a story and stuff. But like I said, you don't go and see a show properly, it's not like a typical theatre. You go inside the studios type of thing, and it's up to you to explore the place and figure out what's happening in the show. You don't get to sit down, you have to pretty much be on your feet the whole time, although you are allowed to sit down if you want to, but to get the most out of the experience, you have to be pretty much running around and walking around all the time. So think of it as like a normal show, except you're in charge of what you get to see. You've got the choice to follow different actors or follow different scenes. It's up to you what kind of experience you get out of the show. So you go inside the Temple Studios and they give every audience member a mask, which you can see over there. Minnie's wearing mine right now, but I'm going to take it off so you can see it. Sorry, Minnie. Okay, this is what the mask looks like. And as soon as you go inside the lift, you're meant to wear this, and you have to wear this for the whole duration of the show. I mean, you are allowed to take it off if you go like into toilets and stuff, but when you're on the 4 levels, when you're on stage pretty much, because that's what happens pretty much, you're on stage with the actors in a really weird way, you have to wear it at all times because it's the only way for the actors to be able to distinguish the actors themselves from the crowd, and also for the crowd, the audience members, to not get confused and know that, you know, who's the audience members and who's the actual actors on stage. So I'm going to wear this really quickly for you just so you can see what I look like throughout the show. Yeah, that's pretty much what you're meant to have on your face for the whole 3 hours of the show, and it is 3 hours long. But I'm going to take this off now because it's just weird. Anyway, so you wear those, and as you see, your whole face is pretty much covered. The only thing you can see is your eyes, which is kind of weird and cool and scary at the same time. See, I went with a friend, and my friend had already seen the show twice before. It was her 3rd time experiencing it. And before I went, I'd asked my friend a few questions about the show because I was a bit worried about it. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't do anything wrong or anything. And she told me that it's pretty much fine to do whatever you want, to go and explore anything you want, to touch the sets, to even sleep on the beds if you want, or rest on the chairs of the sets. It's just, you can do whatever you want, within reason of course. I don't do anything stupid. But yeah, so kind of because she'd done it before, I was a bit more comfortable and confident about the whole thing. And also, one thing that they tell you from the very beginning is that it's best if you take your own path. Like, if you go with a group of friends, it's best to just do what you want and not get carried away about what your friends are doing. Because when you're in there, you're not allowed to talk at all. You have to be quiet for the whole time, and obviously you can't see each other properly either because all you can see is people's eyes. So it's very hard to communicate when you're in there. And if you want to stick to your friends and stuff, like, it kind of limits the things that you see because, say like an actor goes somewhere to a different room and you want to follow the actor but your friend doesn't really want to, or doesn't know that you want to because you can't really communicate, you're going to miss out on seeing the action over there because you kind of are more worried about staying together. And you know, they advise you not to do that. Even if you're with a big group of people, they tell you it's best to just do it your own way and get separated from people and go your own path basically. So I knew that as well. Me and my friend had discussed this already. But even though we discussed it, we hadn't actually said like, yes, let's separate and not go together. The plan was to at least go in together, and then if we got separated later on, then fine. But we didn't want to like deliberately get separated. Like, why would you want to do that? However, when we were in the lift, me and my friend, and we had our masks on and everything, there's a guy in the lift as well who's like an actor, and he kind of explains a bit of the story to you. Not a lot, but he literally just gives you like a background story of what's going to happen in the show. And he kind of tells you a little bit about a couple of the characters in the show, the main ones I suppose. But that's literally it, that's literally all you know when you go in. And yeah, the lift, I think the first level that the lift takes you is the basement, and several people got out at the basement. I was one of them. but I was the very last person to get out. My friend was going to come out as well, but the door closed, so as soon as she wanted to come out, the door closed, the lift door closed, so she couldn't actually come out. And I remember I looked back behind me and I was like, wow, nobody's behind me, my friend's not here. And to be honest, I got a bit scared then. I don't know why, I knew there was no reason for me to be scared, but it was the beginning of my journey inside this experience and stuff, and I'd already lost my friend, and I was like, God. There were people in front of me, so I quickly managed to kind of catch up with them and stuff. And for the first maybe 5 or 10 minutes of the show, everybody, not just me, everybody kind of wanted to stick to each other, because I think everybody was a bit on the edge and a bit scared, and they didn't really know what to do. We were all walking very quietly and slowly and stuff. But pretty quickly, I remembered in my head when my friend had told me that it's okay to go and explore the place and do whatever you want. So I slowly became a bit more confident and was able to kind of leave the group and do my own thing. And in a way, I'm kind of glad that I got separated from my friend in the very first kind of moment in the show, because otherwise it probably would have taken me slightly longer to finally separate from her, do my own thing and stuff. Yeah, so I don't really want to ruin things for you, but for instance, the first thing that I remember seeing in the basement was a character called Frankie, and he's a guy who wants to become a famous actor. And it was just like a really weird scene of like people teaching him what to do and stuff and how to be a good actor, and then finally they were like, yes, you've done it, you've got this part. I think he was in some kind of an audition or something, and he finally got the part, and then obviously after that scene was over, he went his own way, and the people who were auditioning, he went their own way. And that's when the first moment of decision comes to you. That's when you have to decide, okay, so who do I want to follow now? Which of these actors, which of these characters do I want to follow? And I mean, I decided to stick with Frankie, the main guy, who later I found out he wasn't even one of the main characters, he was just one of the side characters, but he was the first guy that I saw, the first actor that I saw in the show, so I decided to follow him for the first, as much as I could pretty much. I did lose him a few times throughout my 3 hours there, but yeah, he was the first character that I saw, and he was the one that I decided in the beginning that I wanted to follow. So yeah, each of these characters, as soon as they finish a scene, they are allowed to go anywhere they want on those 4 levels of set in the studios, in the temple studios. Sometimes they might be running, sometimes they might be going very slowly, sometimes they might be hiding somewhere. It's literally your job to not lose track of them. It's your job to follow them. And there was a moment where my character, this Frankie guy, was running up the stairs like 2 levels, and I was like, oh my god, I need to run up after him, and everybody else was following him as well, and it was just really cool. It was so weird, but it was so cool at the same time, because the guy, Frankie's character, he was always in character. He was an actor, he was acting his job, he was in this story thing, and us, the audience members, with our masks on, we were just following this guy kind of to just try and get out something from his story and stuff. It was so cool, but so weird, and it was actually kind of tiring as well, because you're running around all the time, and exciting as well, because you just don't want to, you get so excited when you find out more about a character, and then you meet somebody else, and you're like, oh my god, there's another character that I want to follow now, and it is just so cool. I think I've said the word cool too many times already in this review, but yeah, it's just so unique, this whole thing. So like I said, the whole thing is pretty much you're following different characters who are part of this big show called The Drowned Man. And there were so many characters in that show. Apparently there's 40 actors on stage every night for every performance, which is crazy because there's so many characters that you can potentially follow and find out the story of and stuff. I remember maybe about an hour into the show, I kind of lost Frankie at some point. Then I got intrigued about other things for a bit. I kind of went and had a look at the sets for a while, because I was like, I didn't want to be following actors for a bit. I kind of wanted to just experience being there and stuff and have a look at the sets and the different rooms and stuff on the 4 levels. So I spent a while doing that, which I'm glad I did, because oh my god, the sets are amazing! Generally, it's pretty dark in the studios, so you can't see much, plus you're wearing these, which kind of makes it a bit more difficult to see stuff anyway. Although I can see pretty fine, but it's just a bit weird. But yeah, the details in some of the sets were incredible. Like, I remember just walking from like room to room and literally going, wow, just to myself. My mouth was pretty much open throughout the whole first hour of the show, because I was just so amazed by everything I was seeing. Not just the actors, but just the sets and everything in that studio. I mean, there's a desert there. I remember I walked somewhere at one point and I could feel sand under my feet, and I was like, what the hell, where am I? Oh my god. And then I felt the sand under me and I was like, this is just amazing. Then there's a place like a forest type thing where there's like wood stuff underground, and there's a dance floor with like black and white checkered things on the floor. It's just so cool. I'm going to try and stop using the word cool, sorry. But yeah, honestly, the details that went into the sets were amazing. You can literally buy a ticket and go to experience the show and just look at the sets alone. Like spend 3 hours just looking at the sets and the details and stuff and still find it amazing. So yeah, I remember actually when I first got into the sand bit, I got so excited and stuff, and there was a sand mountain as well. Like kind of like a mountain made of sand. And I was so excited, I was like, I'm going to walk up the mountain and kind of have fun up there. But then somebody who worked there, because each room I think, or each level has a few people who work at the Temple Studios at the Drowned Man. And the way you distinguish between them and everybody else is that they're wearing similar masks to this, except their masks are black instead of white. So yeah, somebody with a black mask was like, come down. Like, they didn't talk to me, but they were like kind of gestured it to me to come down. And I remember I felt so embarrassed. I was like, oh no. Because I thought you could just do anything you wanted, but I suppose that was a bit too much and it could have been potentially dangerous. I don't know. But like I said, I felt really embarrassed and stuff. And I was like, oh my god, everybody's going to know me, and that person, the person who worked there, is going to remember my face and stuff. And suddenly I remembered that I was wearing a mask myself, and that meant that nobody could actually tell who I was. And that made me feel a lot better, because yeah, there were many moments where I went like, wow, or got scared, or just my facial expressions underneath the mask went through very many different emotions. And I was very happy that nobody could see them because I was wearing this. Also, although the characters don't really interact with you, and it's mainly you pretty much following them and getting something out of their story and stuff, they do sometimes interact with you if they have to. For instance, because you don't know what the story's going to be like and stuff, sometimes you might be somewhere and the actors might need that space for part of the story, so they're going to have to kind of slowly push you away, which was kind of crazy. That happened to me a few times. One of the sets is like a bar, and I remember I was standing by the bar and a couple of the actors were there as well, and they were kind of interacting with each other. And suddenly they decided to go somewhere else in the bar. I didn't know this was going to happen, but then one of the girl actors had to kind of slowly kind of gesture to me to leave straight away so she could have the space to move to the other side. And yeah, moments like that do tend to happen quite a lot, so be prepared for that. It's not scary though. You do quickly realise when you have to leave and stuff, because you can see pretty much, you can kind of guess where the actors are going to go next and stuff sometimes. And when you can't, it's not that they're going to be violent or anything, they're just kind of going to slowly tell you to kind of move away so they can do their stuff. There was a scene that I particularly remember. A character called Mary is standing outside a church or a chapel of some sort. And before the scene happened, I'd already been inside the chapel and I'd had like a little wander around to see what's in there and stuff. It was quite dark inside the chapel, and I remember I was the only person there as well when I went to have a little exploration. But because I'd been in there, I wasn't too scared, and basically Mary's character is like standing outside the chapel, and it looks like she wants to go in, but it looks like she's really scared to go in for some reason. It's like she's trying to make herself go in, but in a way she's too scared and doesn't want to. So for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, she was just there, like running towards the chapel and then going back again because she just couldn't face going in. It was really cool though, because it wasn't just her running, it was like kind of a dance was involved with it as well. Kind of like an interpretive dance, so there's actually a lot of interpretive dance in the whole show, which I thought was really cool. Very beautiful, very nice. In fact, most of the storytelling is done through dancing, because even though the characters do talk and stuff, they're not mic'd, so you can't hear them very well. So what you get from them is mostly from how they act, their physical interaction with each other, and also dancing. Anyway, this Mary person was trying to go in, and I remember I tried to be brave and stuff. I was like, I'm going to go and stand right next to the chapel door. All the other people who were watching were like standing behind her. But I was like, I don't care, I'm going to go and, stand next to the door. And literally, I don't know why I thought that, but I thought that I could somehow influence the story. I don't know why. So I remember I was like looking at her and I was like, come on, go in, it's fine, it's not scary. I was just trying to kind of be all like, yeah, it's fine, you can do this, because I've already been inside and it's fine. Because the acting is so strong and you're literally like immersed in the story, because you're literally on set, you're literally in the story, it's easy to get confused and literally think that you're part of it in a really crazy way. So yeah, I remember I literally was like, yeah, come, and she tried a few times, she ran, towards the door and stuff. And then eventually she decided she didn't actually want to go in, so she ran away. She literally ran away, and I was like, damn it, what the hell? I've been trying to get you to actually go inside, and she didn't even want to go inside. She was too scared, what a coward. But yeah, I just thought that was a funny moment in my experience. There's also a bit where the guy playing Frankie, he's the guy that I first saw when I started my experience. He was the one who was auditioning for this film. There's a moment where he wins an award of some sort, and he gets all excited and stuff, and some of us who had been following him were like sitting on some like benches in like a cinema type of room, and he literally like went and like shook people's hands and stuff because he was so happy and excited. And I don't know, I thought that was really cool again, because they do sometimes interact with you. Speaking of Frankie, by the way, I thought he was incredible. His acting was insane. I can't remember the guy's name unfortunately, but yeah, he was amazing. If you just go online you might be able to see what his name was, but yeah, he was amazing. I think that's why I decided I wanted to follow him from the very first time I saw him, because there was something about his character that was very fascinating and he acted it so well. It was so intense. Yeah, the actors do tend to sometimes interact with individual members as well. So sometimes they might take an audience member and like take them in a room and just have like a quiet moment with them or show them something that's part of the story. It's like I remember I saw that happen a few times, but it never happened to me. I probably would have been a bit scared as well if it happened to me, but now that I've seen it once, I do want to go back, and I kind of want it to happen to me just so I can get like a bit more out of the story. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't want to say more really because I don't want to ruin it for you, but all I can say is that it was one of the most crazy, unique but amazing experiences I've ever had at the theatre. And I'm doing this because I don't know if you can call this a theatre thing or not, but it is theatre because it's acting and it's a show and it's got a story and everything. It's just very different to what you would expect, and yeah, apparently you have to go and experience the show at least 10 times or something like that if you want to find out the whole story and be able to see every different scene, because there's so much stuff going on all the time on all the levels that obviously you're going to miss some stuff. And everybody's experience is going to be different every time you go. Like, when I went with my friend, like I said, I was following Frankie's character for the most part. And then when I came out afterwards and I found my friend and stuff and we were discussing the show, she said she didn't even see Frankie, not even once in the whole show. Like, what? I was like, how the hell? And it was her third time seeing it as well. She'd never seen Frankie before. I was like, wow, that is just amazing. And that's just what makes the show even more awesome. I do have to say there is nudity in the show. Like, there's some bits where some of the actors get naked. I remember I saw 2 actors fully naked. But it's not like them getting naked just for the sake of it. It's literally part of the story and it feels quite artistic in a way. But yeah, that obviously means that if you're under the age of 16 or something, you're not even allowed to go in. They actually asked me and my friends' ages when we were going in, which I thought was quite funny because I'm 23 and my friend's 18. But they still wanted to make sure and stuff. And I guess if you don't look over 16, they might even ask for ID. But yeah, just so you know that. The whole story is mainly about love, tragedy and lust as well, which is kind of why the nudity thing is there, and it's quite a sexual piece. So I'll be honest with you, the story itself didn't appeal to me that much. There's not actually much of it either, but it's just the way it's done through like dance and the whole idea of actors being there with you and you being able to follow them and stuff. That's what made it awesome for me. The best way I can describe it really is like, you know in Harry Potter, I think it's like the 6th or 7th film? I should know this because I'm a big Harry Potter fan and I've read all the books like millions of times, but you know that bit where like Harry goes back in time and sees all these things and stuff happening around him in the past, but he's sort of invisible to them, nobody can see him, yet he can still see everything happening. That's kind of how I felt. I felt like I was in this kind of different world, watching all these things happen around me, and I couldn't really do anything about it. I was just like an observer, but it felt really real at the same time because you're literally there, you were like immersed in this whole world, and it was crazy, it was intense, it was scary at times, it was overwhelming, definitely overwhelming, but my heart was literally like psh, quite a few times in the show. Especially the times when I decided to be brave and like do my own thing, because sometimes I would literally go and do my own thing and be the only person in a room, and I'd be like, oh my god, this is scary, where's everybody else like? But it was so cool because that's how I got to see more of the sets and more of the story. Also, like I said, although you have to pretty much walk around and run around for the whole show for the 3 hours, there are sofas and beds and seats everywhere on stage, so if you want you can literally go and sit on them and spend your whole time just sitting on a bed. I'll admit I did try that a few times. Like I tried to lie on one of the beds because my friend had done it and she was like, it's really comfortable, so try it out. And I did that for like a few seconds. Then I found a swing on one of the levels, I can't remember which level it was, but there was a swing outside, I think Mary's house or something, and it's a really comfortable swing, and I sat on it and I spent quite a while, I admit probably about 10 minutes, literally just swinging on that swing on my own, just enjoying life, as Mary was doing her own thing inside her house and other things were happening around me. It's insanely cool. I can't tell you how awesome it was. And I've been contemplating going back, but at the same time I don't know if I want to because I feel like my experience was so unique and special already. But I know that when I go again, I'm going to get a completely different experience. So in a way I do want to go back because I know that there's so much more that I can explore and find out. But at the same time I was very happy with my first experience, and yeah, it was just so cool. I 100% recommend this show to anybody who wants to experience something completely different to normal theatre. Although I do have to say, it's definitely a Marmite show. Not everybody's going to like it. Even if you love theatre and stuff, you might go and just not like the idea of this whole thing. But I was on the love side for this. I really, really enjoyed myself. I thought it was so cool. It was just an experience that I'll never forget pretty much. And yeah, just think about it this way. Imagine when you're watching like a show on stage or a film even, and like 2 people are having a conversation or whatever, and that's a scene and the conversation ends and so the scene ends and each of the characters goes their own way to a different place. Usually in theatre or in films, when that happens they just stop the scene and they go to a different scene. When you go see The Drowned Man, after a conversation ends, after a scene ends, you can find out more about the characters. You can go and follow a character who goes off to do something really boring, something that's not even part of the big story. So like, there were many times when like two characters would like have an interaction and stuff, and then they'd leave, and then I'd follow one of them, and then that character would just literally go somewhere and sit silently for like 20 minutes doing pretty much nothing. But they were still acting, they were still in character, they were still doing something, it was just they weren't really interacting with anybody else. So it wasn't like an important bit of the story, yet you still got to experience it and see it if you wanted to. So it's your choice, you can see more of characters if you want to, and yeah, that's I think the best I can explain it really. But yeah guys, that's all I'm going to say about The Drowned Man at the Temple Studios, National Theatre, part of Punchdrunk, and this is my mask again. If you want to see me look ridiculous again one more time. Yeah, there's another kind of similar thing like this in New York called Sleep No More. That's also produced by Punchdrunk, I believe, and it's a similar idea, just a different story. I'd really like to experience that now. If I ever go back to New York, I'd really want to do it. And yeah, that's all I have to say. If you've seen The Drowned Man, if you've experienced The Drowned Man, please let me know of your experience a bit in the comments below. And if you've got any questions about the show, also feel free to ask them and I'll be happy to answer them. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Sorry if this was a very long video, but I just wanted to tell you everything I could about my experience there without ruining much. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching as always guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!